What's up, you guys? It's Parker again from Stock and Barrel. Just wanted to come at you with a real quick video, a review about the Cowboy 3200 right here. I just wanted to give you my perspective of it, why I decided to buy it, and also what I think of it now after I've been stitching with it for a couple months. Once again, this is the Cowboy CB 3200, and I bought it from Ryan Neal of Neal's Saddlery and Harness. And Ryan's a really cool guy. If you go onto the High-Tech's YouTube channel, Ryan's all over it, doing tutorials on how to thread and how to wind a bobbin and all those kind of things that you need to know about this machine. He's got videos on it. The setup was fairly quick. I was kind of intimidated as I was unboxing everything, pulling everything out. But once I started putting together, it went together really easy. And this is coming from a guy who has never been around sewing machines before in my life. So the first thing I pulled out was this tabletop right here, and I flipped it upside down, and I ended up mounting the legs on first. They went on pretty easy, and then I put these pedals on that kind of acted as a cross brace to support the legs. And then I mounted the servo motor and everything else that bolts onto here. I put the power switch on and this back brace right here that gave more support to those legs. When he sends it to you, it's all handwritten, labeled as far as where everything goes. So that was nice. They really take the time to make it easy on you. A lot of the technical small things, the springs and the mechanism, all that was already put together. You're basically just assembling the big pieces of it. So once I flipped the table back around, then it came to putting the head on, and that's where you want another person if possible. Just because it doesn't balance on its own, it doesn't stand there on its own. You have to hold it while you're mounting the bolts. So anyway, it helps a little bit if you have two people, but it's possible with one. I ordered it with some 207 white nylon thread, and I've loved it so far. I bought some more, just in some other colors to try out. One thing on the installation that you might want to take note of, it's pretty self-explanatory, but everything else was so laid out that I kind of expected the bobbin winder to have some kind of labeled mounting holes, but it didn't. You kind of just have to figure out where to put it on your own. And once you realize how it works, it's not too hard. You want to have a little bit of gap away from the belt so that when you engage it, it has good tension on that wheel. But anyway, I just mounted it with some grabber screws, as you can see. So it wasn't too technical. So if you're like me, I took the typical guy approach and didn't want to read any instructions. And then I read later that you really should oil it before you start using it. I didn't do that. I kind of just imagined that they oiled it beforehand. So I spent a couple days stitching on it before I oiled it, and I don't think I did any damage, but I think that in general you should probably do that. And so they actually include this little bottle of oil here for you, and you use this on all these little spots with red markers, and I've just been oiling it up every now and then. But what they don't include is an aerosol spray right here, which is what these little doors are for. So you open these doors up, spin it around, and I've been spraying down inside those holes with the aerosol spray. There's one here, here, here. All right, so I'm just gonna walk you through a really quick stitch just to kind of show you it in action. So I'm gonna make us just a little dummy strap at first. I kind of like to mimic something that I might be doing in a real world scenario for an order. Whenever I'm practicing. I'm just gonna pair this strap up. So just for fun, I went ahead and glued two straps together and gave it a nice little English point and a round end. And we'll just go around the edges just as if we were stitching two straps together. I like to be somewhat realistic even when I'm just practicing, just so that your practicing actually goes towards real world scenarios. So let's stitch this thing up. Okay, so I glued these two straps together. I didn't bevel or burnish the edges yet. I'm gonna do that after I stitch it. So one of the first modifications I made was I switched this presser foot to the left foot only one. Normally there's one of these on both sides, but since I'm normally sewing wallets, it's not grabbing the other side anyway, and so it's actually just a lot more helpful to get up close to that edge with the left side presser foot. So again, this isn't a how-to video, but just make sure that you always grab your thread right here before you start stitching, or else it'll just pull it right through on the bottom side. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my needle down to my starting point and drop the presser foot, grab the thread, and just start walking through it. Now I'm going to back stitch a couple times. And one thing I noticed is when you switch it to the left foot only presser foot, you have to be a lot more careful on your back stitch because it doesn't line up like it normally would with each hole. So you got to kind of guide the needle down into the hole that you want. And then once you've done your back stitch, you can just walk right on through it. Drop it in. The right pedal on the bottom is what lifts the presser foot up so that you can spin the leather around without damaging the leather. I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to keep stitching. Lift it up again. And back to my straight line. I went a little bit far from the edge this time, but this is just a little demonstration, so I'm not too worried about how it looks. And as it's coming back up, I'm gonna flip it into reverse and make sure it lines up. And there we go. Wait till that needle's at the top and pull my thread out. Make my cut. And then you just want to make sure that before you cut your thread, make sure you pull the knot into the center of the leather. So I'm just going to pull that through. That way it won't come unraveled. And then I use this thread zapper right here, which is battery powered. It's called the Thread Zap 2. I got that on Amazon. You can just hold the button till it gets hot. And there's that stitch we got. Comes out really nice, really clean. So overall, I'm really happy with the Cowboy 3200. If you're on the fence with buying one, send me a message and I will help you make your decision. It's a beautiful machine. If you're trying to decide between this and like a Cobra Class 4, which is basically the same machine, it really is sixes, so don't get too hung up over it. It sounds petty, but in the end I chose this one because I like the name. And I called Ryan first, and he just was so good to me that I didn't have any reason to go any other direction. And now that I have it, I am so happy with it. As I was kind of prepping for this video, I was trying to remember the things that I was concerned about or had questions about before I purchased. And now that I've had it for a couple months, everything just went out the window, and I can't remember any of those concerns that I had. So if you have a question about it, let me know, and maybe I'll have to refilm this and try and be a little more helpful. But please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks guys, bye.